Hello, everybody, and welcome to Menti Breaky Epi 33.
What a nice number.
I know.
Well, big news.
Big
New
news.
studio. As you can tell.
New studio for us.
You're going to notice a lot of changes.
We moved some tchotchkes.
There's plants behind us.
Do you say tchotchka or tchotchkes?
I've never said either of those words in my life. That's
Really?
so funny. We say knickknacks. That's what Protestants say,
Oh,
okay?
Yeah, I know it's a Yiddish word, it's the tchotchka. But
No, I'd never heard of it until you said it. And I was like, what is she talking about?
I have to fix my hair. You talk about something, Hannah.
Well, I don't know how much we want to say, but we're not in a new studio. Some of you thought that was going to happen. It didn't. We're still at Monica's place, which we love, but now we have some plants behind us.
We like being 100% sure of our decisions because we want to make sure that us and our Menti Breaky Queens are happy.
Mm-hmm.
So in the interim of finding a studio, we have added very eclectic plant. So you could have thought this was a new studio.
Yeah.
And I would have understood that.
Yeah, you could have been like, where the F are they?
Where are they? I've never
They're
seen
like, honey,
that.
we're still at Monica's place.
I've never seen that IKEA pink plant before. That's crazy. These girls are really upgrading their business.
Yeah. We should get stuff though. We're like we're gonna do we'll get decal, we'll get something.
We'll get stuff also once we like settle into
I know that's the thing. It's
permanent.
like I love decorating, but like I need a home to decorate.
Exactly. We need a home. We're looking for the perfect Menti Breaky home, but in the meantime, we got a plant.
Yeah.
So, and these plants aren't gonna die because of our guys giving us plants.
Yeah, they'll throwback. Follow up to the sheep as
Follow
well.
up to the sheep. Oh, this is Bloom, by the way. Remember I told you it was
oh,
Bloom and
show
Onion?
the class.
That's
Show
Bloom.
them. Aww.
She's doing so well. Onion was not doing well.
Onion died.
Okay, so.
And my sheep follow-up. So I did reach out to my ex, and I was like, am I crazy? Did I make this up? He's like, no, you're not crazy. I did give away all the sheep after sleeping with girls. There was like 3 of them, I think. And he's like, don't you remember? You used to send me pictures of the sheep.
Oh my God.
Because we lived in different places. So I'd be like, little sheepy, moved into his new place. I had this sheep for years, like our whole relationship.
I thought you said you got rid of the sheep.
Well, then he was like, do you still have it? I was like, oh no, the second we broke up, I threw that sheep in the garbage. Also, okay, so I've just been like, so I reached out to him, but I've just been like struggling in general with like, talking to my exes, not having boundaries, needing people's validation. So I messaged him and I was like, because I was just like really upset, and I was like, why do I keep like letting these men in? And I just said, why do you think why do you think we broke up?
Oh God.
And
Hannah.
B, why do you continue to talk to me as an ex? And he just replies, we don't have to talk. I was like, why can this man set a boundary and I can't? And I just put a crying laughing face next to that, and I was like, perfect. And then he's like, I didn't know this, like, us talking was affecting you. And I was like, yeah, I guess it is. And now done. Now actually done. I was like, I cannot reach out to this man anymore.
Yeah, it's really hard. Like, even a guy that I was recently involved with, and like I go to my therapist and I'm like, fucking why? Because I've told my therapist this, and this has happened with a lot of my attachments, is like, I don't like these men. I don't want to date these men. There's never been a point where I wanted to date them, but it's like I get so attached to them, and I guess like the idea of them and like this whole thing, and I like need their validation. And then I'm so hurt when things don't work out, because obviously they don't work out because I didn't even like them in the first place, and like they didn't like me, and we're just in this like weird attachment bond.
Yes.
And I'm like, why do I keep like doing this?
Your guess is as good as mine, sweetie.
I also try to like rationalize. I'm like, okay, well maybe he is coming from a good place and like blah blah blah.
I'm always rationalizing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? But that's not your job to do that.
And it's
he
like,
can fucking rationalize.
He can rationalize. And it's also just like, I've also come to realize like whether he had good intentions or bad intentions or like whatever, it's about me.
Yeah.
And it's about how I feel. And for you, like, it's about you and how you feel. And like, I don't know why, but like, I've always had the thing like, well, I don't want guys to think I'm like crazy or high maintenance or I'm like whatever. But it's like, who the fuck cares at this point?
Yeah. It's like if you've hurt me so much at this point, why am I still trying to be like, oh, I hope he doesn't take this message the wrong way.
Exactly.
Like, take it the wrong way.
Take it the wrong way. I don't care.
Fuck
Tell
off.
everyone I'm crazy. Like, tell everyone, like,
Yeah.
oh, well, she, like, made this up in her head and she, like, is using all these, like, words like gaslighting and blah, blah, blah. And, like, I didn't do anything. Like, fine.
Yeah. Jason screaming, why don't you guys believe
I was
in
thinking
yourselves?
that. There's a comic. I didn't get his approval to, like, say his name or whatever, but we'll just say Jason.
Jason, yeah.
And he was telling me, like, he did a comedy tour like through the West Coast, like through the mountains. So he was driving for like 14 hours and he comes up to me and he's like, Monica, I was listening to Menti Breaky as I was driving and I was just screaming at the radio the whole time, being like, why don't you girls believe in yourselves? Get some confidence. And I was like, yeah, accurate.
I feel like most people in our lives are screaming internally and externally screaming that at us.
It's also funny because we got a message from Noah, one of our listeners, being like, how did you guys learn to believe in yourselves?
And we're like, what podcast have you been listening to, Noah?
I'm like, in what world have you listened to the podcast?
Did we have a guest that we forgot about? Who believes in themselves?
Did someone upload to the Menti Breaky RSS feed an episode where we believed in ourselves?
I think everyone in my life slowly realizes it, including you. But at first people are like, she's so confident. And then they get to know me and they're like, oh my God, Hannah. And I'm like, no, I hate myself.
It's just sad. I'm just like, you're so great. It's kind of like what we say to each other. Like, I wish you could see yourself the way that I see you. And it's like, you know, you say that to me too. This episode is so fucking depressing. Are you fucked? Remember when this was supposed to be a comedy podcast and now we're like, we
haven't told a joke in months.
But it's
but true. we have at least one listener, shout out Joe, who likes when we get serious. And he's like, he's like, as a man, I like when you guys talk about serious topics and it helps me. So
I do think people like when we get serious. Like, I think if the podcast becomes us just trying to like crack jokes every second or like thinking when's the next joke, it's kind of like when you do crowd work. If you're thinking like when's the next joke, it's not good. But yeah, it's like but the positive thing about our friendship too is like, I think to myself, like, I think Hannah's so cool, and if Hannah thinks that I'm cool, then that also like helps my self-esteem.
Yeah, definitely. That definitely helps. Or just like having you in my corner, believing in me.
Always.
Like if it's just like, even if everything in my life fails, you're like, you tried, Hannah. Good for you.
Yeah.
Like, thanks. It was so funny the other night when someone was on stage telling a joke about going on a date with a woman. And she said something like, oh, I don't like this. Like, I forget what it was. She said something, I don't like this. And then he goes, well, I don't like that you're 37, but I didn't say anything. And me and you at the exact same time just like sighed.
Like, oh,
we're like,
God.
Can you not?
Yeah, like, leave us alone. It's not even a good fucking joke.
We didn't even like look at each other. We both just like went sighed, and then we both burst out laughing because it's like, can you just leave 37-year-old women alone? Like,
can you just leave 30-year-old women alone?
Like, we're doing our fucking best.
We seriously are out here doing our goddamn best.
Don't date us.
Don't date us, but you don't have to make shit jokes about us on stage.
It's just, I just like loved that moment. I was like, I'm glad Monica was sitting beside me for this, or else it would have ruined my night.
Yeah. But one question that you had on here that I found interesting was, are you good at not talking to an ex? So Hannah, obviously no.
The worst in the world, potentially.
Me though? There are like, it's difficult, but then like I will get to a point where like you are so dead to me. Like, so like never again.
Yeah.
And then like it is difficult when like we're in similar circles. Not that certain guys are an ex, but like attachment guys. But it's like dead to me. Someone sent me like a meme where it's like when a girl's really done with you, she all of a sudden treats you like she's like in HR. You know?
That's funny.
She's like, hello. Like it's just like a form. Like that's how I am.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, hi, yeah.
I don't know if I guess I get to that point eventually, but I'm so bad at it. But have you ever bumped into an ex like that you've cut off?
No.
You've never bumped into an ex?
No.
I guess you're like from Toronto, right?
Yeah.
So my world is a bit smaller.
There's been times where like I've really wanted to bump into an ex.
Really?
Like just like missed a guy or like whatever. Sometimes, okay, this is like so stupid, but sometimes I'll like be looking really ugly. Like I'll just be like so frumpy and ugly. And I'll be like, okay, well God wouldn't like God wouldn't let me bump into my ex looking like this. So like I'm safe for the day. Not that I've ever bumped into an ex, but sometimes I actually think that because I'm like, if I bump into my ex today, there is no God.
Yeah.
Which like is crazy.
Like, this is the test.
Yeah, I'm like, this is a test as to whether or not there's a God.
Why bump one time, like right after a breakup, like a few days after a breakup, I bumped into my ex at the mall, which was like so odd because like it wasn't like something that we would have done together. It wasn't like he ever hung out at the mall, and I was just like shopping with my mom. I was like, okay, well I guess I have to go talk to this guy now.
That sucks.
Yeah, and then it just ended up getting back together or whatever, like because we bumped into each other at the mall.
Meant to be.
Yeah, well, you know, if he's also shopping for running shoes, I guess we'll give it another go.
Yeah.
But I also like one time I like knew he worked here, but again, like Oshawa Whitby is like too small, so we were like he was a server or like a cook at this one restaurant, but sometimes people would like pick that restaurant to go to, and I was like, yeah, whatever. So the first time I went there, I like saw him for a second. He was a cook that day, but it was like I did not pick the restaurant. It was like a huge get together. So I was like, whatever, like I'll probably see him, whatever. I think he sees me, he avoids me. And then I got so violently ill off of that meal. And in my head, I'm like, I swear to, he probably didn't, but in my head, I'm like, he did something to this meal.
That's so funny.
He did. I was like violently ill off of it. Yeah, I don't know.
He might have put like red meat fat in it because he knows.
Yeah, or like something, right? Or just like raw meat juice or something to try and like give me diarrhea. Well, mission accomplished. I had so much diarrhea after that meal. But to be fair, it was also the 4-cheese pasta. So like, who could say?
Right, who could say?
It could have been tampering, or it could have just been I ate 4-cheese pasta.
It's a lot of cheese. It's a lot of cheese.
3 too many cheeses. I shouldn't have put that many. Well, at the 4th one, my stomach was probably like, girl.
Why do they always do 4 cheeses?
It's always 4.
Yeah, why not 5
why not
3?
One really good cheese?
Yeah, one just like good solid cheese.
Yeah. Yeah, I got violently ill off of that, and I did always a little bit blame him. And then another time I was with my friend, and I had actually picked the restaurant, but I thought he was still a chef there, so I was like, I'm not going to see him. But then I guess he had been promoted to server, so he just like walks out to our table, and I was like, ah, shit. And he was like, oh. And then he like took our drink orders, and then we never saw him for the rest of the night. And I was like, no, that's a good move.
Yeah, that's goodbye.
Yeah.
On to the next topic.
Yes.
Hannah visits a bakery.
Yeah.
And there's a Gen Z girl that is dumb.
Honestly, okay, because I know you make like TikToks about this.
Okay.
Gen Z workers are just like a little bit hilarious to me.
Have I made a TikTok about that?
Yeah, you made one where you're like, this is not slay.
Oh, in therapy. It was a Gen Z girl.
Oh, it was Gen Z girl in therapy.
But I do have a lot of thoughts about Gen Z in the workplace.
Yeah, okay, so this is just from our real life conversations.
Which
sometimes
we
I forget
confuse.
What isn't online.
Same. It all just blends
I'm like,
together.
remember that TikTok you made? You're like, that's a conversation we had? I'm like, right. Well, yeah, that was great content. You're like, when I shared something very deep and emotional with you, I'm like, like and subscribe. Yeah, but you worked with Gen Z people.
Yeah.
So I just visited a new bakery the other day.
Okay.
I walk in, and it's like a new concept, I guess. all the items are like in the middle, almost like buffet style.
Okay.
So you grab a tray, load it up, bring it to the front.
The restaurant?
It's called Paris Baguette.
Okay, nice.
So it's not a restaurant though. It's truly just a bakery.
Okay.
But they have tons of great stuff. So I walk in, I'm like, this is awesome. I don't have time to stay though.
Yeah.
So I'm like looking around for like a bag that I can put it in. I'm like, oh, there's something here. So I go to the front. I'm like, hey, can I get some of this stuff to go? And it's a young girl. And she just looks at me and goes, to go? And I was like, yeah. Like, can I get this?
Yeah.
To go?
Right.
And she goes, no. And I was like, okay, okay. And then I walked out and I was just like, what? Like, what? And I was like so confused because it's like, I'm like, how does this bakery stay open? Do you have to eat a whole baguette in the bakery?
Yeah, I'm really confused.
What if I bought a croissant and tried to leave with it? Would someone tackle me? Why can't I leave with, I'm like, do paper bags really cost that much that they don't want to allow people to leave with stuff and you have to eat everything in the restaurant? And I was like, I'm like, what kind of business is this? I was like, so confused. But I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't have time for this.
If it's like a whole fucking baguette.
It's a whole bakery. I'm like, you're losing so much money by not letting people leave with stuff. So the next day or like a few days later, I'm like, I have a little more time. So I'm like, I really wanted to try this stuff.
Yeah.
So I go back in. I'm like, well, I have time today. So I load up my tray, go to pay, and they go, so for here to go. And I'm like, okay. Like, this girl just didn't give a shit.
That's so funny.
I burst out laughing when they were like, for here to go. I'm like,
yeah.
No, of course I can take stuff to go.
Well, it's like, it's kind of the line between like not wanting to be a Karen, which we might have discussed on a previous podcast, but then also being like, I actually would like the baguette to go.
Yeah, it's
like I would.
Am I being insane like, bitch by like trying to leave with a croissant? Like, is that asking too much? And she's like, yeah, it kind of is.
And like the fact
you're
that
actually
she would
being a huge problem right now.
The fact that she would look at you like, are you fucked?
She looked at me like I was like an insane, like just truly asking her to like, yeah, the most insane request.
That's so
like
funny.
She was like, to go, and I was like,
yeah. She's like, no.
Yeah, she's like, no.
No, Gen Z doesn't give a fuck.
They don't care. But I was also just like, maybe she just like doesn't get how a bakery works, which is just like honestly good for her.
But you work there.
for like giving so little fucks about her job that someone asks her to have which should be like 50% of her job is either gonna check people out for here. Other 50%, like you know how the other girl said for here or to go. I'm like, literally your only job, and she's just like, I'm not even gonna bother with the to go. I'm not even gonna, when they're like, you have to, you know, sometimes people are gonna want to take stuff. She's gonna no, I'll just do this for here stuff. Like insane.
Like the to go wasn't part of my job description. I didn't see that. It was just like, the for here.
But this is like, I've had to train Gen Z people at my work, and it's crazy. Like when you're like, you're gonna have to work, they will not.
Well, I
they
like
refuse.
Yeah, like when I worked at the accounting firm, like when I first came in, I blood, sweat, and tears for my job. I'd be there until midnight. I'd be there 9 a.m. to midnight, like literally doing whatever my bosses asked, like was basically bullied at my job and was just like, yep, I would cry on the way home. I gained 20 pounds. Like it was terrible.
Yep.
And then like, cause that was me at a junior level, and then I became a senior where like I was in charge of people, and Gen Z started entering the workplace. Not one fuck.
Yeah.
5 o'clock would come. Bye, Monica.
Yep.
It's like if I tried to leave at 5, like they are, my boss would light me on fire.
Yeah.
And they're just like, bye. Like, what the fuck are you gonna do,
Crazy.
Bitch? Don't care. Like,
dude, they don't care at all.
And it's like if they do a bad job on something, or like, because I would like need the validation. Like, I'm like, did I get the A+? Are you happy with my work? If I'm like, hey, like this actually is like fucking garbage shit in a dumpster fire. Yeah. They'd be like, okay, bye.
They're like, yeah, no, okay.
Yeah, well, it's actually 4:43, so I was like shutting down my computer.
Yeah.
No fucks.
No fucks given. And like, but also they'll truly like, you'll be like giving them all the feedback and it doesn't even register.
No.
It just like flows off of them.
It flows.
And then they just like stare at you blankly and they're like, okay.
It's kind of beautiful.
And then like
honestly.
turn away from you and you're like, oh,
yeah.
I don't think that's an option. They're like, no, it is.
No, it is. I'm making, yeah. Because at first I was like, what the fuck? And then I was like, I honestly kind of like vibe with this and wish I did this and respect this.
I guess so. Because, like, I don't know. It's hard to say because part of me is just like, should we all take this approach? But I'm just like, well, no, then the world would burn. Like, if we all took this approach. I don't know.
That's the future.
I get, but like, they all quit. They all quit or are fired. Like all the Gen Zs we hired. Yeah. Well, not all of them. If they're like someone on a visa.
Right.
From a different country.
Right.
With where work ethics still exists.
Yes.
They work hard.
Yes.
But if they're a Canadian Gen Z.
Yeah. I think
you won't get them to lift a finger.
No, but I think it's also just like the concept of perhaps they've given up because it's like no matter how hard they work, if they do a good job or a bad job, they're still getting paid to a point where they can't afford anything. Like, what are they working towards?
Right.
I think is the concept.
Yeah, because they're truly like, if I don't love this, I'm not gonna try at all.
Yeah,
because all of them were like, all the Gen Zs I know, they always were like looking for a different option. They're like, I'm trying to launch my rap career. I'm gonna be an actress. I'm gonna be this. So then when you're like, yeah, but I need these files by midnight. They're like, that's not really like helping me build my brand. So like, why would I do that? And you're like, because it's part of the job. And then they'll just like quit. They're like, oh, okay, then I won't.
It's all like social media and it's all like them trying to build their brands or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I guess is like fine. And then they just get fired or they quit and then they move on to the next like whatever.
Yeah. But there's no like, oh, I have to get validation and be a part of this because it helps like society and the world function. They're like, not my job.
Well, even I found, like, I don't think this is just me. I think millennials in general, it's like, even if you didn't love your job, like, you still like wanted the validation.
Yeah, so I think we're like one step below like boomers and Gen X. We're one step removed because they look at us as like lazy and whatever. And then we're looking at Gen Z as like even more so. Yeah. Like not even present. Yeah. Because we would hear like boomers are so loyal to a company. Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah, like 30
years. Yep. They're like, this was the first job I ever had. Yeah. No one's ever going to poach me. Yeah. I'll die for this man. You know, he was at my wedding.
But I also think that it's because they were able to make a living off that. Like,
because they were rewarded as well. But there was still, even if the company fucked them over, there was still a little bit of like, but no, this is my choice. This is, you know, I'm with this company. Yeah, that was whereas millennials were like, we're waiting to be fucked over, and then as soon as it happens, we're like, I knew it. Yeah. And then like we'll hop to a different company. Yeah. And then Gen Zs are like, what's a job?
Yeah, what's a job? I don't want to do this.
So funny.
I know, it's so interesting.
But yeah, I was like, honestly, good for that girl. I was like, don't even bother about to go.
Don't worry about it.
Don't even worry about that option.
I know. It's so funny, like, watching a boomer or a Gen X like interact with a Gen Z. It's when the Gen Z is working and the boomer is like, hey, like, it's been a while, like, I haven't gotten
oh, they're furious.
Yeah. They're like, I haven't gotten my food and it's been 2 hours. And the Gen Z is like, literally bite my ass.
Yes. And they're so like making a TikTok in the background. They're like, they're like, you shouldn't be eating this food anyways.
Yeah. It's just like, it's so funny because it's like, if I talk to a Gen Z, I'm like scared. And I'm like, hey, like, I'm really sorry. It's just been like 3 hours, but like no rush.
Well, like, I'm always, when I'm talking to Gen Zs, I'm always like, hey, I hope you, first of all, I hope you think I'm cool.
Yes.
Yeah, first of all, what are the trends? Yeah. What are people ordering?
Exactly.
And like, second of all, like, if I could get any of the items I ordered at any point, that would be great. That would be, I'd rate that.
That would be based.
Yeah.
That would be so based if I could get like, but if not, No worries at all.
Yeah, I get it.
Don't worry about
Respect the hustle. Just walk out with nothing.
Yeah,
but then I saw a Gen X woman screaming at millennials or a Gen Z trying to work at a Wendy's, and I was like, girl, yeah, like
good luck.
Like they're not. No, they're not present.
No, like the more you scream at them, the more they're like, oh, I actually don't give one shit. Yeah. Like what are you gonna do?
So fun. And she was like, because we were both. I don't even remember what happened with mine. I think it just took forever.
Yeah.
And hers, she was like screaming at them and they got everything wrong. And then there was also people like, there was literally people ODing in the bathroom that they were having to deal with as well.
Right.
Like I was just enjoying the Wendy's atmosphere personally.
Of course, yeah.
And then the lady looks at me. She's like, it seems like they're having a really tough time. I was like, we're not on the same team.
No,
lady.
yeah.
I was like, I'm not getting on your little crusade.
Yeah. Anytime a boomer or Gen X tries to bond with me over like the slow service of a Gen Z, I'm like, I can't be associated with you.
I'm like, actually, my order was perfect.
Yeah. It's like
she made it how she wanted to. I respect her for that.
And like the 2 hours, like, have you seen their working conditions? Like there's hard.
People fist fighting with shirts off right now. Yeah, good for them.
Good for them for even just like keeping their composure.
I love everything that's happening in this restaurant.
I'm so relaxed.
Thank you.
I'm so nonchalant.
That's literally me getting my food. And she's like,
I'm like, no, you can't. You can't be upset.
You can't care this much.
It's not cool. Yeah, speaking of ages, Hannah cried all week.
I turned 35 and I haven't stopped crying since.
I know.
I started crying at midnight and it's just been since then a steady flow of tears. I'm crying during massages. I'll see a like literally anything, a song on the radio, a moving commercial on YouTube. I'm weeping.
Yeah, I don't really know how to help you because I'm like,
Last night I was with another comic at an open mic. And he was like, how are you doing? I'm like, good. And I stopped. I was like, I'm doing really bad. And
yeah,
he's
you're
like,
doing
me
really
too.
Bad. Okay,
and then I was like, why are you doing bad? He's like, well, I'm American and the election. I was like, who cares about that?
Yeah,
I just turned 35.
Yeah, are you fucked? Hannah's going through actual issues.
I'm single. I turned 35 and I haven't stopped crying since. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
But he was very kind and said some nice things.
Oh, that's good. What did he say?
He was just like, everyone's at a different place in their life. 35 is not old. And he's like, and even if it is, he's like, you're doing great. You're doing your own thing. Yeah. I was like, thank you.
Well, that's kind of what we discussed too, is like, we both could have like the life of like married with kids right now. Like we could find some like shlomo to like marry and just move it along. But we both be miserable.
Yeah. I think so. I think a lot of it is I feel a bit like dishonest too sometimes, like where I'm just like, again, I'm like trying to like get everyone's validation and it's almost like at a point in my life where I'm like, when am I gonna stop repeating these patterns? And like, when am I gonna just like just like do what I want to do and not really give a fuck?
That's how I feel too. Like for me, it's like with these men and like being involved again, I'm just like, when am I going to stop repeating this pattern? Because it's like, I think at the end of the day, I'd like to end up with someone who loves me and like have a partner in life. But it's just not going to happen if I keep doing this. But it's difficult. It's really difficult to like stop those things.
Yeah.
Because, anyways.
Because dad's in the church.
Because dad's in the church. Yeah, but speaking of dads, I got Hannah 2 ice cream cakes.
Yes, Monica's been very sweet. Does it seem like I'm not doing well?
Yeah.
I keep getting that feedback from everyone.
Yeah, you seem like you're really not doing well, honestly. And I like don't really know what to do.
But Monica got me 2 ice cream cakes, so that was really nice.
Well, I didn't buy Hannah 2 ice cream cakes, but
Monica's
basically,
my
dad had these coupons for an ice cream place that was going out of business.
R.I.P. Marble Slab.
R.I.P. Marble Slab Thornhill.
Marble Slab's going through a tough time.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be Marble Slab right now. They're probably crying in bed. So my dad had to buy like, I think it was like $300 worth of ice cream cakes. So
oh my God.
$200 or $300.
That's insane.
So he has 5 ice cream cakes, and I said, Hannah, pick at the litter. of the ice cream cakes. And I brought Hannah 2 ice cream cakes.
Yeah.
One was turtles. One was cookies and cream.
Yeah.
Turtles, quite the letdown.
Huge letdown. Didn't taste like turtles.
Didn't taste like turtles. If you have to buy 5 ice cream cakes from a place that's going out of business, would not recommend the turtles.
Yeah, big letdown. Didn't really get any hint of a turtle. But cookies and cream.
Slapped.
Very good.
Yeah, so that's our review on the closed marble slab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes if your friend's going through a tough time, you just got to bring them a few ice cream cakes.
Yeah.
Did you finish them?
Kind of, yeah. But then I had to throw them out because I was like, I'm going to barf.
Yeah.
If I eat this whole thing myself.
Fair.
Yeah.
Well, one girl at the get-together was trying to be all, like, coy and be like, I don't want any. And then there was nowhere to put them.
There was no freezer space, so I had to take them home. I wasn't taking them home because I was being cheap. I was taking them home because there was no freezer space left.
And then after Monica left, she's like, I guess I will have some of that ice cream cake now. And we're like, no. You don't get any.
If you want the ice cream cake.
You have to.
You have to take it when it's offered. You can't play hard to get.
Don't play hard to get with an ice cream cake because guess what? It's either going to melt. Yeah. Be eaten, or it's gonna go because there's no freezer space.
It was a big thing. I had to bring it in the freezer bag. There was no. I was very stressed about the melting and
your dad was stressed about the freezer bag.
My dad was really stressed about getting the freezer bag back. It's a great freezer bag. So I'm like, look, if you want the cake, now or never.
Yeah.
And that's fair. Or hold your peace.
That is very fair.
Like, this isn't a fucking brownie.
And she did not blame you. She was mad at herself.
As she should have been.
Yeah.
I would say sweets or desserts in general. You have to speak up.
Yeah. Or you're like, oh, maybe I will have some. Well, good luck to you then, honey.
Yeah, good luck.
Like, there's probably crumbs left, if that.
I block out all the time in free desserts at other people's houses. And then it's gone. And then I'm kind of embarrassed because I'm like, I shouldn't have eaten that whole thing. And now there's none for anyone else. But it happens.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
You have to restrain me when there's desserts.
Yeah.
You have to be like, yeah, that's enough.
Like, if
I'll get sick off of
same
desserts at other people's houses.
Desserts
at my own house.
I was in Ottawa this past weekend, and there was like amazing shawarma in Ottawa. Did you know that? It's like the shawarma capital.
Oh, okay.
And so one of the girls I was with was like, hey, could you bring back some garlic potatoes from this shawarma place to the other girl? They brought back the garlic potatoes. I blacked out. I ate so many garlic potatoes. I was in so much physical pain. Like, my friend was looking at me and being like, Monica, I looked over at you and you were literally hunched over, like with pain on your face from how many garlic potatoes that you ate.
I do this same thing.
And then we went back the next day because I wanted to get like an actual like shawarma. And there were like 4 different sizes of the potatoes that we could have gotten. And I was like, well, maybe we got the medium, like hoping I didn't eat that many potatoes. Yeah. And she's like, we got like the extra large. And you like, it was so bad. I was like, my insides were in physical pain.
Yeah, I've been there. Sometimes a garlic potato, like, it'll sneak up on you.
And they were freshly made.
You have one garlic potato, and then you're like, I could have 50 more. Yeah. It just slides right down. Yeah, you're like, what is it? Yeah. What is it? A couple calories?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Some
it's
garlic.
A potato, some garlic. Yeah.
And the garlic was on top. So it's like sometimes when there's a sauce on top, you eat one and you're like, okay, I didn't love the ratio of the sauce to the potato, so I'm going to have another.
Yeah.
And then you have another and you're like, okay, that one was too much potato, too little sauce. Yeah. So then you have a third.
But I think often as a society we forget about garlic potatoes and how good they are.
100%.
And then they come out and you're like, oh yeah, this is one of the greatest foods ever invented.
And the girl I was on tour with, she's like, she loves shawarma and she's really good at sweet talking Lebanese men. So she was like, please just like put on a lot of garlic. And like literally the amount of garlic sauce on these potatoes, Hannah. Yeah.
He was showing off a bit, eh?
He was, yeah. It was midnight. She like knows how to sweet talk a Lebanese man. It was crazy.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you want garlic?
Oh, you want garlic, baby?
I'll give you some garlic.
I blacked out, honest to God.
Yeah. I would love to see like a brain scan of what happens to you when you're eating garlic potatoes. And then they'd be like, this area of Monica's brain lights up. This area has turned off completely.
The part
that makes rational decisions just closest.
I was like my friend was,
addiction part is just beeping.
Yeah, like Tamara was like, I realized after the entire time we were talking, you weren't talking.
No, we eat the same.
Potatoes.
Yeah, we eat the same.
We inhale.
Yeah, we inhale. We don't talk.
No,
we're focused.
And then I look and I'm like, where's the food?
Laser focused. Yeah.
And I'm like, I actually, my brain turns off.
Yeah.
And
like
other areas are like
it's time to concentrate.
overstimulated.
Yeah. It's time to concentrate and getting as much of this into my body as quickly as possible. Oh, sorry. Were you saying something?
Oh, were you trying to have a conversation with me at dinner? Okay. Excuse you.
Okay. Well, save it.
And on that note, I think that's been our episode.
Yeah,
Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you loved the decor that we've done.
Yeah. We've done a lot of. It's been so tough.
We've worked really hard.
I've been redecorating all day, and we just put that down.
We've done architectural digests for this, design, everything. So have a great day, and
people are gonna study this.
Like podcasters are gonna watch our
It's
video.
gonna end up on Architectural Digest.
Yeah.
Today we're looking at the Menti Breaky podcast studio and its infamous 3-plant setup.
Yeah, architectural podcast.
Boom.
Have a great day.
Bye.